In this episode, you'll discover that the same empathy that makes you extraordinary at your job is literally rewiring your brain and causing your burnout. So, I want to invite you to stay until the end for these 3 reasons. The biological reality nobody taught you. I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you about heart chakra depletion crisis that we're in. And I'm going to introduce you to the power matrix practice, which is a visual decision-making tool way back from Eisenhower. So, the neuroscience. Let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience of why empathy can become a weapon against you. And this is a reality, y'all. They did not tell us in school. I think they're getting better at it, but back in the 90s when I came through, we were not warned. So, as I was writing in Pursuit of Soul Joy, or rather as I wrote in Pursuit of Soul Joy, I say that being a clinician, helper, healer, educator is very demanding work. And here's the part that should make you feel a bit angry. Burnout and compassion fatigue aren't just common. They are listed as occupational hazards built into the system we work in. Thank you, Dr. Charles Figley, for introducing that to us. Did you know that in 2021, around 78% of mental health professionals reported being impacted by burnout and compassion fatigue? And this comes from the American Psychological Association's 2021 COVID-19 practitioner survey. Y'all, that's not just 1 or 2 clinicians out there struggling. Y'all, those are our colleagues. That's us. That's nearly 4 out of 5 of us. And the pandemic, well, it increased demand for our services while our bandwidth decreased. So this is where it gets real, if you ask me. And I really invite you to hear this clearly because it's going to change how you understand what's happening in your body. The crazy thing about all of this is that your brain, any brain, can't discern between your trauma and your client's trauma. Your body's response is the same, a triggered polyvagal system. You know, fight or flight. And you kick into survival mode, dumping all kinds of wicked hormones into your body that you have to metabolize, right? And over time, this relentless cycle devastates your mind, body, and soul. So let me say that again. Your brain cannot tell whose trauma this is. So when your patient is describing their panic attack, your amygdala is lighting up like it's happening to you. Research by Tanya Singer and her team at the Max Planck Institute demonstrated that when we witness others suffering, our anterior insula and anterior cingulate cortex, the same brain regions activated during our own pain experiences, they light up in response. When you're recounting, or when your clients are recounting their childhood abuse, your nervous system dumps cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. A 2018 study in the Journal of Traumatic Stress found that therapists treating trauma patients showed elevated cortisol levels that persisted even after session ended. Your polyvagal system, that ancient survival system first mapped by Dr. Stephen Porges in his polyvagal theory, which most of us therapists and helpers love, that polyvagal system screams danger. Even though you're sitting safely in your office chair, this isn't you being weak or giving in. Not at all. This is human neurobiology doing exactly what it evolved to do, protect you from threats. And the problem, your brain genuinely believes their trauma is a threat to you and responds accordingly. And it causes cumulative devastation. One session, your body can handle that. You metabolize those stress hormones, you go home, you recover. But 8 sessions in a day, don't do that to yourself. But say you did 40 sessions in a week, which no, we're not going to do 40 sessions in a week. 20 sessions in a week. That's thousands of trauma stories a year for 10, 20, 30 years, right? Straight. Sweet soul, that's just not sustainable. That's systemic, biological injury. And here's what it steals from you. And I talk about it in my book. In my book, actually, I describe the general symptoms of burnout and compassion fatigue across 3 areas. So I look at your mind, and in your mind, it creates this excessive self-concern, loneliness, powerlessness, despair, dread, and lack of joy. You can't remember the last time you felt genuinely excited about anything. Everything becomes risk management and hypervigilance. That's your mind. Then in your body, sympathetic and parasympathetic arousal, back to our polyvagal system. Prolonged stress leads to immunosuppression. Hello, my breast cancer. Frequent illness and exhaustion. And research validates this. In 2019, a meta-analysis published in I'm going to try to pronounce that, but published in a Psychoneuroendocrinology. I slaughtered it. But it was published in this publication, and it found that chronic stress leads to dysregulation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, resulting in immune suppression and increased inflammatory markers. You're getting every cold, every flu, chronic pain, digestive problems, hormonal chaos, exhausted even after a full night's sleep, if you can sleep at all. And why, might I ask our health professionals, do they make these words so damn hard to pronounce? Just ask it, because we could say it easy if we had easy words. Okay. So I'm going to laugh at myself instead of getting upset, and we're rolling with it. So in your soul, here's what happens. Rejection is created, separation, loss of control, giving up, destruction, isolation, and emptiness. Destruction from horrible decisions you start making because the I don't give a F shows up. That terrifying feeling that you've lost yourself somewhere between intake forms, insurance paperwork, and caseloads. The devastating isolation of knowing nobody really gets what this work cost you. I don't care if you're a doctor, nurse, educator, therapist, our work comes at a cost. And again, research is validating this. Integrative research teams have demonstrated that compassion fatigue leaves its mark on your beautiful brain and body. In 2017, in the journal Frontiers in Psychology, see, I could say that one, used MRI imaging to show that therapists with high compassion fatigue exhibited reduced gray matter. Reduced gray matter volume, y'all, in regions associated with emotional regulation and empathy. So chronic psychosocial stress doesn't just impair your personal and social functioning. It overwhelms your cognitive skills, your neuroendocrine systems. What does that mean in plain English? God, I can't even say English. What does that mean in plain English and words I can pronounce? Well, y'all, your memory fails, okay? It just fails. And we've had episodes on this. You show up in your kitchen to get your keys, and you have no reason why you're in your kitchen, right? I mean, we've all done that. And this is part of what's happening from this chronic psychosocial stress. So your memory's going to fail. Research by Arnsten at Yale has shown that chronic stress impairs prefrontal cortex function, the brain region responsible for executive function, working memory, decision making, all the crap we use at work. Your problem-solving ability is going to crash. Your creativity, girl, is going to disappear. Your hormones go flipping haywire. And you can't figure out why you used to love this work, and now you fantasize about never seeing another patient again, or making another appointment, or just sitting on the beach with daiquiris. So, why this really matters for us gals over 50. And sweet soul, if you're a woman healer, helper, educator over 50, you've got to understand this. Estrogen plays a critical role in stress resilience. It buffers the effects of cortisol. A landmark study in neuroscience and biobehavioral reviews demonstrated that estrogen modulates the stress response by regulating HPA. This axis activity, it regulates HPO axis activity and reducing cortisol reactivity. When your estrogen drops during perimenopause and menopause, you lose that protective shield. The same job stress that was hard at 35 is now biologically harder at 55, 65, 75, and beyond. Your body can't metabolize that stress like it used to. And research that's been published found that postmenopausal women showed significantly higher cortisol responses to psychosocial stress compared to premenopausal women. This was a 2020 study, and it helps me understand why my breast cancer developed at 60. It's not aging. It isn't weakness. It's biology. And the system is using us up. So let's look at the heart chakra psychology. When empathy becomes depletion. I want to talk about what this does to your heart chakra. And in week 2 of my book, I explain that this is your 4th chakra, the first that relates to your emotional self. And the focal energy of the heart chakra is the middle of the chest. It represents compassion, love, and devotion, forgiveness, openness, and trust, and emotional peace and contentment. This is the energy center that made you choose healing work in the first place. You feel people. You feel their energy. You want to help. Your capacity for compassion is your superpower. But here's what compassion does to this beautiful gift. Your heart chakra becomes a one-way valve. Energy is flowing out to everyone else, your patients, your colleagues, your students, your family, but nothing flows back in. You're hemorrhaging your life force. With every session, nobody taught you how to seal the leak. In my book, I explain what happens when this chakra becomes underactive from depletion. It can cause you to feel emotionally lost, angry, jealous, lonely, stressed, high blood pressure, experience heart-related health problems, and behave coldly and distantly. I don't know if that sounds familiar to any of you. I was impacted. Emotional numbness, that really got me. The distance you feel, even from people you love. Research on compassion fatigue by my hero, Figley, and others have documented this phenomenon of secondary traumatic stress, showing that caregivers develop symptoms nearly identical to PTSD, including that emotional numbing and social withdrawal. And that's not you becoming a bad person. That's your heart chakra in protective shutdown, trying to survive by closing off the very thing that makes you who you are. And here's the part that's not comfortable to say out loud. You start to resent the very people you're trying to help. You see their name on your schedule, and dread sets in instead of purpose. You hear yourself getting irritated at their lack of progress, and you fantasize about cancellations. Y'all, there's no shame in this. There's just awareness and curiosity to be had. This is your heart chakra desperately trying to protect itself the only way it knows how, by shutting down access. You build walls to survive, but those same walls trap you in isolation. So when your heart chakra is depleted, you'll notice tightness in your chest, that crushing sensation like something sitting on your sternum, shallow breathing, heart palpitations, upper back pain between your shoulder blades. That's where we store grief of carrying other people's pain for far too long. Research on heart rate variability by the HeartMath Institute has shown that chronic stress and emotional depletion significantly reduce HRV, a key indicator of nervous system dysregulation and cardiovascular risk. The emotional symptoms, anybody? Cynicism, numbness, that terrifying moment when you realize you don't feel much of anything anymore. You used to cry at commercials, and now you can hear the worst trauma story and feel nothing. That's not strength, that's dissociation. And it's stealing your humanity. So I'm not going to waste your time on another meditation app or breathing exercise. Y'all have got all those. I'm going to give you a practical tool that helps you reclaim your time and energy so you can actually create some space for healing. So in week 6 of my book, Soul Joy, I introduce something that I know changed my life. When I was in my own burnout, my goodness, I crashed and burned. I call it the power matrix. And I talk about how decision fatigue can paralyze you in this chapter. So I'm going to explain it here because you need this. But in the book, I really go in depth. But I write in the book how many decisions we make a day. And y'all, as a clinician, teacher, doctor, we're a nurse, we're making more than 35,000 decisions daily. And that's probably a low estimate. 35,000. I'd hate to think I'd sit there and count them all. We're doing treatment plans, crisis assessments, documentation, if we need to report, if we need to hospitalize, whatever it might be. The last one that will get me is, do I really need to answer this text at 9 p.m.? And I'm going to tell you no, but here's what's happening. When I allowed my burnout to incarcerate me, I would become paralyzed in making decisions outside of my clinic. I could not even tolerate being asked where I wanted to go for dinner, let alone something of real importance. Like, I don't know, what makes me happy? This paralysis is well backed by research. Roy Baumeister's work on decision fatigue, which was published in Social Psychology, demonstrated that making repeated decisions depletes our mental resources, leading to decision avoidance and impaired self-control. And a 2011 study in PNAS found that judges were significantly more likely to grant parole early in the day versus late in the day after making hundreds of hard decisions. I don't know, y'all. Does that sound familiar? I mean, y'all are brilliant and decisive at work, but when you get home, do you have a hard time deciding what to eat? How about getting dressed in the morning or whether to go out or stay in? You tell yourself, I'm going to figure out, I'll figure this out tomorrow. You'll set limits next month. You'll finally take that vacation someday. But as I write in my book, this loop has you living in limbo, telling yourself that you'll get to it tomorrow. But y'all, tomorrow never comes. So here's what we're going to do. If you're able, grab a piece of paper or bookmark this and come back to it. Or better yet, open up your copy of In Pursuit of Soul Joy and turn to week 6, where I walk you through this in detail. The Power Matrix is designed to help you discern, how do I put this, where and how you're investing time. Because it is an investment. It's the richest investment we have. I mean, time is our precious commodity. And where you spend it matters. So this tool is designed to help you get clear on exactly where your time goes. Once you have that data, you can make decisions with clarity. So here's how it works. You're going to map your average week into 4 quadrants. This framework, well, I adopted it from Eisenhower's work, and Stephen Covey, I surmise he got it from the Eisenhower stuff because Eisenhower was here first. But lots of people have used this matrix. But we're using it today to help us validate what we're doing. And this matrix has been validated as well by decades of organizational psychology research. So, quadrant 1, that's our urgent and important do now stuff. These true emergencies. Clear deadlines, real consequences. The patient is in crisis, the report is due tomorrow, the parent-teacher conference you committed to, whatever it might be. It's urgent. It's urgent and important. Then quadrant 2 is not urgent and important, like your schedule. This is strategic work, future planning, relationship building, the work that actually moves your life forward but get sacrificed first. Things like setting up a therapy appointment for yourself, having a date with your husband, planning your exit strategy, having that conversation with your supervisor about your caseload. And then quadrant 3, that's urgent, not important. Delegate. Everything that feels urgent because someone else made it your problem. A lot of those. Most meetings, most emails, most quick questions, the committee you joined out of guilt, the favor someone asked that you said yes to when you really meant no. Those go there. Those go into delegation. It's amazing. I have resigned from committees and the world continued to turn. Okay, quadrant 4. Not urgent, not important. Delete. Time thieves. Perfectionism disguised as professionalism. Saying yes to things that don't serve you. Taking on tasks that could be delegated. Cat videos. Although, I kind of like my cat videos here and again. But don't let that doom scrolling happen. That might need to go into quadrant 4 during certain times of the day. So now is the important part. As I write in my book, you want to check in with your solar plexus right here and ask, what does the energy feel like? Now's the time to trust yourself, to put tasks in the boxes, to delegate and delete. And if you find yourself frozen, run this through a superpower model, which is in my book, and earlier episodes of this podcast, I walk you through them. Your solar plexus is your power center. It sits right below your rib cage. So place your hand there right now and notice what you feel. If you find yourself unable to put anything in the delegate or delete column, that clutch in your gut comes up, that resistance, that's your power center screaming for help. That's not anxiety. That's your inner wisdom begging you to stop betraying yourself with yes when you mean hell no. This is what I invite you to understand. If you want life to be different, you have to do things differently. Clean the slate so you can open up time for soul joy. You deserve to delegate. You deserve to delete. You deserve to protect your time and energy like the precious resources they are. Not when things are calm. Not when you have more energy. Now. While you still have enough of yourself to reclaim. So let's anchor what you discovered today. The biology of empathic liability. Your brain literally cannot distinguish between witnessing trauma and experiencing it. And as I write in my book, your brain, any brain, can't discern between your trauma, your client's trauma. Your body's response is going to be the same, a triggered polyvagal system. And after years of this, your mind, body, and soul show devastating symptoms that are occupational hazards, not personal failures. And the heart chakra depletion, your energy center of compassion and love, they become a one-way valve. Well, it's not they, it's one, your heart chakra. It becomes a one-way valve in compassion fatigue. Energy hemorrhages out and nothing is flowing back in. And that leads to that numbness you're feeling, that resentment, which is sacred. Listen to your resentment. And emotional distance. And you're ashamed to admit it. I know I was. And then we went over the Power Matrix tool. It's a practical system for mapping your 35,000 daily decisions so you can delegate, delete, and reclaim your time. And this is how you interrupt the paralysis that keeps you stuck in burnout limbo. So, sweet soul, if this episode landed in your body like a truth, if you felt that recognition in your dread, that catch in your throat when I described what's happening, I need you to take action right now while that spark is still lit. Grab a copy of my book, In Pursuit of Soul Joy, a 12-week guide for overcoming burnout and compassion fatigue. Everything we covered today, the neuroscience of why your brain can't tell whose trauma it is, the heart chakra psychology, the Power Matrix tool, the decision-making models, the chakra work, it's all laid out in a 12-week roadmap designed specifically for women healers just like you. This isn't just theory. Not at all, y'all. This is the exact system I used to go from my own burnout crash, where I nearly lost my marriage and everything I'd built, to creating a life and practice that actually lights me up out here on the ranch in my barn office. On page after page, I'm going to walk you through the practical tools and somatic patterns, the chakra work that's going to move you from survival to restoration. And you're going to learn how to balance every chakra, every one. You're going to reclaim empathy as a gift instead of biological liability. So get the book while this resonates. It's linked in the show notes below. Just drop down there and grab the book. And if you do, shoot me an email. And if you have questions or want to do a one-on-one meeting or study about the book, reach out. I am here for that. Absolutely, I'm here for that. So I'll see you next week. And I'm so damn proud of you for being here.